Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Happy 4th.
Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Paris Rose is here.
Hello.
And most importantly, you guys are here, and happy 4th of July, or as in Canada we call it, Thursday. Good to have you guys here as we decided, you know what? I'm Canadian. I work on the 4th. So I made all these guys work on the 4th too, because that's how I roll. And we wanted to be here for you. Those of you looking to get away from those in-laws and having an excuse just to step away from the family for a bit, come on over as we talk about some socially irresponsible movie-loving stuff. Good to have you guys here. And listen, we got a bunch of things we're going to talk about today. We're going to start off the show by talking about a couple of topics. Then in the bulk of the show, the second part of the show, we're going to be taking your live comments and questions. If you guys have a comment or question, go ahead and use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip and fire it on in. As long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we'll address it here on the show. And by the way, the good thing about this tip link is that even if you're watching the show when we're not live, like it's 3 o'clock in the morning where you are, and you've got an idea for a question, go ahead and use the tip link and send it in, and we'll just answer it on our next episode. Guys, want to remember it's time to go over to the calendar and take that next piece of candy off, because 21 days till Deadpool and Wolverine, my most anticipated movie of this year, surely going to be the biggest box office hit of the year, and we are counting down. All right, guys, listen, with all that down, let's get to it here, shall we? Paris, what do we got up first?
Yep. Well, lest you think these recent box office numbers are a fluke, Despicable Me made $27 million its opening day and is projected to make $120 million over the holiday weekend. So, John, how significant are these numbers?
They're massive. They're massive. Now, listen, if you had asked me 3 months ago, do I think Despicable Me 4 or Inside Out 2 will make more money? I would have said Despicable Me 4. I thought Inside Out 2 was going to be a big hit. I did not think it was going to be a billion-dollar film, billion and counting, by the way. So it's not going to be as big as Inside Out 2, but a 27, put this in perspective. Inside Out 2, which is kind of dominating the box office right now, Inside Out 2 made $7 million on Wednesday, while Despicable Me made $27 million on Wednesday. That's a really good start. And if their projection is right for $120 million over the holiday weekend, that is another really good start for yet another movie as the box office continues to be on a roll. The folks over at Variety point this out when they said this. That's a strong showing, talking about Despicable Me's opening day. That a strong showing is welcome news for movie theaters, which have endured a bruising start to the summer after promising films like The Fall Guy and Furiosa both bombed. But things have been turning around, with Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, which is just destroying every record out there. Bad Boys Ride or Die did great. Paramount's A Quiet Place has had a wonderful opening, bringing back crowds over the last few weeks. So we're talking about keeping that momentum going now with Despicable Me 4 pulling 120 something million. Listen, again, it goes back to this thing. Rob and I talked about this back in the latter part of 2023. We said that the first part of 2024, and a lot of you guys said this too, we were just agreeing with you, that the first part of 2024 was going to be rough. The writer strike, the actor strike, the shutdown of production, all that kind of things, big movies moving out, going weeks at a time without major releases. It was going to be a struggle, but we thought once we get into the second half of 2024, things could start looking up. And we're on a huge streak right now. And beyond movies like that, also like things like Godzilla X Kong became the #1 box office film of its entire IP. Kung Fu Panda 4 did super well in its IP. So things seem to be back. And if Despicable Me 4 really can pull in like 120 million over the holiday weekend, I think the significance of that is major. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about that? Despicable Me 4 starts on Wednesday with a $27 million opening. They're projecting $120 million over the holiday weekend. Round where you thought it would be, bigger than you thought, smaller than you thought. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, that down, What do we got up next, Paris?
Yeah, John. Well, as you mentioned earlier, today marks the official 3-week countdown to the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, which comes out in just 21 days. I'm excited. All right, industry insiders are now putting out their projections from the film, and according to Deadline, the movie is tracking to be the biggest opening of the year and the biggest opening for an R-rated film in history, with a target of 165 million. So, for perspective, Inside Out 2, which just passed the billion-dollar mark, had an opening weekend of 154 million when projected for 85 million. So, yeah, big difference. So, John, how significant would this opening be for Deadpool and Wolverine?
It would be insanity. Absolutely insanity. Now, I want to put this $165 million mark in perspective. And before we do, just a little note. Some of you might be remembering, wait a minute, wasn't there a number given a little while back of 200 million? Yes. The Quorum, which is another organization, they put out a long range forecast of around 200 million. And by the way, now that we're 3 weeks out, the other industry people are coming out and putting out their projections 165. But it should be noted that the Quorum has put out statements saying they're standing by it. They're saying 200 million. And let's just remember, Inside Out 2 was projected at like 85 and it ended up making 150. So we'll see. But let's go with the low number, okay? Let's use that rock bottom lowest number, 165. Take a look at this. The highest grossing R-rated films in history for opening weekend, number one, well, was the first original Deadpool. Made 132 million on its opening weekend. Next, Deadpool 2. Deadpool kind of opening that opening weekends for R-rated films. Made 125.5. It had an incredible opening weekend for an R-rated film at 123.4. Joker, which we know went on to make $1 billion at the box office, got nominated for Best Picture and won Joaquin Phoenix his Best Actor Academy Award. It had a $96.2 million opening. And then going back to The Matrix Reloaded, also known as the worst Matrix. No, sorry. Matrix Reloaded, that was the second one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I take that back. The third Matrix was the worst one. Anyway, Matrix Reloaded made $91.7 million. So you're talking about by 30, if we go with the low number of 165, that means that Deadpool 3 would beat the existing R-rated opening weekend by $30 plus million. That is insane. By 30 million. It would be obliterating that record. Now, if it comes closer, which I think it will, to that Quorum number of 200 million, well, then we're talking about rewriting a lot of record books. But even at that low number, at 165, we're talking about an astonishing thing. And something that Paris pointed out, Inside Out 2 just passed the $1 billion mark. And it opened lower. It opened with 150 something million dollars. So if Deadpool 3 can indeed come out to that 165 million, it is well on its way to the billion. And I know I'd like to revisit this once in a while because there's still people out there who tell me on the regular that I am crazy for thinking that Deadpool 3, being an R-rated film, will make $1 billion. To which my response stays as it ever has. If you understand that the original two Deadpool movies got close to 800 million, so like 700 and something each, and now you're adding the huge long wait, the fact that Ryan Reynolds is a bigger star today than he ever was, the fact that Deadpool is now in the MCU, and the fact that the thing that fans have been screaming for, Hugh Jackman returns as Wolverine and is joining Deadpool in a movie together. I would suggest that if you don't think those things combined equal just another 200 million, like really, you don't think all that combined can equal just 200 million more? I don't know what's in. Now look, I take all of that back if the movie sucks. It's true though. If Deadpool sucks, then, well, it's going to have a big opening weekend, yes, but it won't get to the $1 billion mark. So, I mean, there's that. But I got to ask Ray, because Ray hears me talking about this all the time. Like, for you, I know I'm glowing about it. I'm oohing and on about it. Where's your excitement level right now for, like, Deadpool 3?
It's it's gone, I think, way past the point of excitement where now I'm just mute about it. I don't want to see anything else. I just want to get I want to get into theater. I mean, like, I've been gauging the box office recently by what we encounter when we go opening day. Inside Out 2 was different. Was way different than all the other ones. I could gloat about how many people were there in other movies that we saw before. Even
Right.
Godzilla X Kong had a good turnout.
It really did.
It seemed.
Really good turnout.
But Inside Out 2 was different. It just it was inside and out. There was outside there was lines,
Huge
inside
lines,
there was lines.
The parking lots were full.
I have the same feeling about Deadpool. It's gonna be one of those things that throws us back to Avengers 1 when we went to go see Avengers at Burbank.
I remember that
I
day.
have a feeling, and No Way Home. I have a feeling we're in for something special that day and that whole weekend. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. Just because I'm mute, it just means my excitement's already gone past a normal person. It's just now I'm just waiting. It's a waiting game now. Like, don't show me anymore, please.
Well, look, you guys think you're gonna have a big opening on what is it, Thursday? I'm going with the real hype crowd. 8 a.m. Sunday morning, baby.
And also, not only that, my excitement for this Deadpool popcorn bucket is just equally the same. If I miss out on pre-ordering
You
this
guys
on
gotta
AMC's
get that thing,
website,
dude.
The first thing Ray
If
said
I
when he
miss-
came in this morning is, has there been any news about when they're going to start selling the popcorn bucket?
if
That
I
was the
miss
first
out
thing
on
he
this
said.
thing,
Ray, which one do you want? You want the-
no, you have to get both.
I think
Well,
you
you know
should.
what?
have to.
I think that Deadpool one, remember when we covered the Deadpool one,
Oh,
and I
is it
said,
Regal?
listen, there has been no official confirmation from anybody that this is real. Turns out it wasn't real. Which is what people always say, John, why do you always give these disclaimers? That's why I give the disclaimers. It turns out that,
what?
Well,
bummer.
then that leaves only one to buy then.
yep,
better
only
for
got to get
us.
the one
Yeah.
with the cum butter.
No, someone needs to put that in production. I want that one.
Oh,
I
my
don't-
God,
because-
that would look so
I mean,
good.
it even looked good for like as a display piece.
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
I
that's
think
such a bummer.
the sales of that popcorn bucket might equal the box office of this movie. They're
Well,
going
I
to
hope they're made
sell
a
it
lot.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to make a lot, and they're going to sell a lot of popcorn, man. They're going to sell a lot of popcorn. I want to ask Paris this because, Jonathan, me, and Ray, we have a lot of overlap in our circles and stuff like that. I don't have any overlap with any of your circles. Do you hear anybody in your spheres like getting excited about or talking about
Oh my
Deadpool?
gosh, my circle is so lame. They are haters.
Oh,
They're like,
no.
oh, I feel like it's being overhyped.
Oh no.
They feel like Hugh is getting too old, and they kind of feel. Someone mentioned that Hugh Jackman now it's like watching Ryan Gosling be young and try to be Barbie, like be Ken. And I'm like, first of all, Hugh Jackman looks amazing.
He looks so good.
What are you talking about? But yeah, my circle is saying that we're gonna be disappointed, and I
I
think
think
they're
that
wrong.
Ryan Gosling did great as Ken. I'm
Yeah,
confused.
So
Right.
too.
But I think they're saying like he's like Hugh Jackman's
old,
trying to be
yeah.
that.
Now
He's
are-
trying too
But
hard.
Hugh
Oh,
play,
gotcha,
but
yeah.
this thing,
Yeah.
Hugh plays it now. When you go back to Logan, Hugh is playing Wolverine like old man
Yeah,
Logan.
he's playing it older.
Like he's playing the age, right? Sort of thing. And my God, he looks so good.
Yeah, but they're
I
still.
mean, he looks
I bet you
great.
they're still going to see the movie though.
Yeah, of
So
course they are.
money's
Okay.
money. They're still making it.
But now here's the question. Here's the question. So, in the trailer, the big joke in it is when Wade says, I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei, but I am Marvel Jesus. Okay. Will Deadpool be that? Now, look, I don't think one bad movie can derail an entire film franchise. But I also don't think one great movie can completely turn everything around. So my personal feeling on Deadpool and Wolverine is number one, they need it to be great. They have to have it. But if it is great, and I understand that's a big if, but if it is great, I don't think it just snaps its fingers and fixes all the problems of the MCU. But what I do think it does is it, number one, completely changes the narrative of how people talk about the MCU. I think it will reignite a lot of enthusiasm for the MCU. It'll get a lot of people like me who've been like, yeah, I've loved the MCU for a long time, but ain't doing so hot right now. I think if this movie is great, it'll do a lot to reignite enthusiasm and at least put it on the right path. I don't think it fixes everything, but I think it puts it on the right path.
I don't think it affects anything story-wise. I think they're going to go with whatever they're doing, but it is a movie that will put people's, make people happy or like at least change the course of the way people's been feeling about Marvel lately.
Yeah, I agree.
At least put them in a position where they're like, okay, maybe I'm ready for the next Marvel movie. And then that movie that comes after this movie needs
Captain America 4.
Capitalize.
Anthony Mackie, you got to deliver.
Capitalize on what Deadpool did for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the same thing would happen at CinemaCon. I felt like almost every year was like clockwork. Like overall, the general feel about the DCEU was pretty not great in general, right? But then the same thing would happen every year. Comic-Con would come, and whatever you think about the DCEU movies, especially in the first 5 or 6 years, they made killer trailers. So even though like the overall atmosphere about the DCEU at the time was like, a lot of the fans didn't like it, a lot of the critics didn't like all that kind of stuff. But then Comic-Con would come and they would drop some insanely awesome trailer. And then all of a sudden again, the narrative changed. Everybody was excited about it. And then the movies would come out and people would be disappointed again.
And do you guys remember how lenient we were with Marvel? If they released maybe one that wasn't so good, we'd be like, oh, that's fine.
There's one bump in the road.
No. Now they're at a point where you release one bad one, people are getting off that car immediately.
It amplifies it because the recency bias is not so good, right? I mean, listen, I'm not being a hater here. They have had some terrific big wins lately. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, for example, huge big win. They've done a couple of really good things, but they've also done, I've said this for the last year or two, they've done more mediocre things than we're used to seeing them doing. And so now, to your point, Ray, when a bad or mediocre one comes out, it's amplified because it's just adding now to this pile of not so good stuff. They need they don't just need a win, they need a winning streak.
And let's face it, Marvel has had the year off. If they come back with their first one and it's trash, I don't know what's going to happen.
And
really.
I think Kevin Feige knows exactly that same thing, which is why they did like a 3/4 reshoot on Captain America 4. They went back and retooled that entirely. So
and look at Blade. I couldn't even say it and I started laughing.
I was like, what?
Poor Ray. Poor Ray.
I tried to say that with a straight face.
We had such a good segment right
Yeah, it was going so well. Everything was going so good. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Now that we're within 3 weeks, the main industry people are now putting out their projections, and they're projecting the biggest opening of the year and the biggest R-rated opening in history. Some others, like the Quorum, are still saying, that's big, but it's going to be bigger. It's going to be like around 200 million. What do you guys think about this? How big do you think this thing's going to be? How many people are going to be rushing out to see Deadpool and Wolverine on its opening weekend? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our next topic here, shall we? Paris, what do you got up next?
Yeah, so with it being July, we are now officially into the second half of 2024. It's gone by so fast.
Yeah.
The first half of the year has certainly had some bumps, but a number of really good movies have come out along the way. So, John, what would you say are the best movies of 2024 so far?
All right. I had somebody write into me last week saying, we're getting close to the midpoint of the year. We're now at it and just past it. And what would I think are the best films of the year? All right. I gave this some thought. And the first thing I decided was that I'm going to put together a little list, short list. I'm going to give you 5. What I think are the 5 best movies so far this year. But a couple of caveats. Number 1. They've got to be actual theatrically released movies. And by theatrically released, I don't mean on 2 screens in Provence, France. I mean, like, these are movies, has to be movies that anybody could have gone to see in the country that wanted to go see them, right? So I will not count Javert sans contre Chafron that played on 1 screen in, the Ukraine.
Will you include at least one at the end of a streaming only release? Do you
No.
have any?
No.
You don't?
No, I have
You
none.
don't you haven't seen anything?
Well, no, I mean, I take that back. There are a couple of good streamers I've seen. Let's
Oh,
talk-
yeah. Let's get to that.
let's add that at the end.
Someone tell me Ray has something in mind.
I do.
Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. So we're going to talk about what I believe are the 5. Now, these are in no particular order, except for the first one. And this is anticlimactic. You guys know what I'm going to say. The best film of the year so far is Dune 2. It is the best film of the last 10 years. Yeah, I say that and I stand by that. It is the best motion picture of the last 10 years. You've already heard me wax poetic about this movie many, many, many times. You don't need to hear me go on and on about it. So Dune 2, best movie of the year. All right, the next 4 that I have in my top 5 of the year are not in any order, okay? So this next one is not number 2. The rest of the 4 are not in any order. They are Zendaya Does a Threesome, also known as Challengers.
Yeah.
This was not the movie I thought it was going to be. Now, I'm not going to say that the marketing was deceptive. No, I mean, the movie was there. You could see it in the market, but I really kind of felt like the movie was going to be totally different in tone. So it wasn't the movie that I thought it was going to be, but I still loved it. I thought it was really solid. And again, Zendaya has gone on to prove more and more and more, because I admit when she first started, I thought, they're just getting a pretty famous girl and giving her acting roles. She continues to prove again and again and again, she's for real. I think this might be the best performance I've ever seen out of her. I mean, the story keeps you going right to the end. I really enjoyed Challengers, so Challengers makes my list. All right. Now on to the third film on my list. Furiosa. It flopped? Yes. Don't care. Did I think this was a bad idea to make into a movie? Yes, I did. Doesn't matter. I saw it and I loved it. I don't think it's quite as good as Mad Max Fury Road, but I thought the movie was astonishing. Like, absolutely astonishing. I absolutely loved it. It's unfortunate. I mean, it really shouldn't surprise us that, first of all, Mad Max Fury Road, a lot of us remember it being a big hit. It wasn't.
Was it not? Like,
No.
It didn't do well.
No, it made about the same amount of money as Black Adam.
Yeah, it was like 400 something million.
Yeah, under
Okay.
400.
Yeah.
It didn't even crack 400 million. And so here we are 55 years later, and it's not the same cast to a movie that not a lot of people saw in the first place. So it completely flopped. But Anya Taylor-Joy continues to prove that right now, she's it. She rules this town right now. She's incredible in it. Chris Hemsworth was fabulous in this. Love this movie. So Furiosa makes my list of my top 5 of the year. All right. Next film that makes my top 5 of the year. Another big flop. Fall Guy. I love this film. Now, my big criticism about Fall Guy was it was too long. It was too long for a movie of this nature. It should have sliced out about 15 minutes, would have been even tighter. But the action was fantastic. It was a love letter to stunts. But then at its core roots of just the rom-comness of it, Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling together had fabulous chemistry. And I just found myself grinning from ear to ear through most of the movie. I know the movie wasn't for everybody, but I don't give a shit. This isn't everybody's show. It's mine. And this movie makes my top 5 of 2024 so far. All right. The 5th movie. This was tough because I told myself I was going to make 5. There's a few other films I was, debating with myself to put in there, but I put into the top 5 of the year so far, halfway through, Inside Out 2. I mean, I didn't imagine. Now, I've never lost faith in Pixar, but I didn't imagine you could do a sequel, even though they did it with Toy Story, but I didn't really think they could do a sequel that would come close to the emotional satisfaction that the first Inside Out gave us. This is a beautiful film, like an absolutely beautiful film that had me feeling. And while, the end of Inside Out 1, as Riley comes home after her attempted runaway, and they finally, in her emotions, sadness finally steps up and they realize she needs to feel this. and hits sadness and she breaks down and cry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm feeling tears coming on right now. I'm feeling like I'm about to cry. Thinking about that scene, I wept. Like I wept at that scene when like the end. And while Inside Out 2 doesn't quite have that high of a crescendo, I felt that as well. Like without giving anything away, but as anxiety is going through anxiety's thing and the visual representation of anxiety near the end of the film was like a perfect visual imagery for how we feel when anxiety hits us. And it just made me feel, and I laughed, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful film that I completely adored. So to sum up again, my top 5 films of the year so far. Remember, we're talking about wide release, theatrical films. So far this year, I put it as Inside Out 2, in no particular order, Fall Guy, Furiosa, Challengers, and the best movie of the year so far is Dune. So, Ray, you would want to throw in 1 or 2 streaming movies in there?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say I really liked Ultraman Rising on Netflix, and also one you didn't mention, Barry, is Robot Dreams. I really like that movie. It's very nostalgic, as in the setting. It's wow, both of them are animated that I brought up, which is crazy to me because I'm not too big on animation, but I will watch properties that I like.
What did I just see on Netflix recently that I actually thought was really quite good? There was Hitman with Glenn Powell.
Right, you mentioned that one.
That was good. It wouldn't have made my top 5, but there was one I saw before that on Netflix that I was like, oh my God. Then I saw Hitman. I'm like, that's 2 in a row from Netflix. Which one was it?
You know what?
Oh, Under Paris I really liked.
Oh, okay.
I loved Under Paris. Not everybody did, and I don't care. I think it's the best shark movie we've had since Jaws films.
Do you have any honorable mentions like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
That's exactly one that would be my honorable mention. I thought Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was wonderful.
And it looks like Bike Riders is getting some good ratings, but none of us seen it yet.
I saw it.
I finally saw it.
Oh, okay. You guys see it.
Not as good as I was hoping. I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it's not going to end up on my top 10 films of the year list probably, but I liked it. It was good.
Are you also saving Garfield for that list later on?
Garfield.
I like Garfield.
If later this year I do a list of my favorite animated films with cats, Garfield will make my list.
It'll be on there.
It'll be up there.
Okay.
It's not, Garfield wasn't even the best cat in a movie this year. That was the cat from Quiet Place. Cat, that was the best. Any movies you guys would add to the list, or
someone said it here too. They said technically it was a 23 movie and it won, or at least it was nominated for the Academy Award as Perfect Days, but it released.
Yeah,
it was a
2023 movie. Yeah.
So if it released here in 24, maybe I would have popped it on there, but I would have probably. I think I liked Bike Riders more than you. So I think as much as I liked,
which one would you bump?
Yeah, why can't Fall Guy?
Fall Guy
would be like 6, and Bike Riders would be where Fall Guy is. That's it.
You
it's
got
still
any
in the top
stand out
10.
for you, Paris?
I'm trying to think. I'm seeing Mean Girls behind you, and I know that's not on my list. I was really worried that you're gonna say that. I mean, I really like the Fall Guy. I don't know if it'll be in my top 5. I feel like there's streaming movies that I'm just not thinking of right now.
Sure,
I know
yeah.
I've watched a lot of movies streaming, and I just can't think of them. I was trying to look it up quickly.
You know what? Cord Cutter Cam just mentioned a film that I did contemplate because I was late to this movie, but I really enjoyed it. Abigail. I liked Abigail.
That's a sleeper right there.
Yeah.
That's what you would consider a sleeper.
Now,
Monkey Man. That's one I love.
you know what?
I love Monkey
So
Man.
many people loved Monkey Man, and I didn't like it.
Oh.
And I love Dev Patel.
Oh,
and
man.
so I wanted to like it. So you know what? I also should,
Action scenes.
while we're here, I might as well throw in what I think are like the worst movies.
Okay, go.
All right. So these are in no particular order, and I'm only going to mention 4.
Only 4.
Only mention 4. Only going to mention 4. Despite the fact that Ray warned me off it. The Strangers Chapter 1. Wah, wah.
I freaking...
That movie was so bad.
I get so angry when you even say that name.
Just even saying it makes you
The
angry.
people in that movie were so dumb.
So dumb.
I even said they were dumb. Me.
Yeah.
I even thought they were dumb. And I'm the dumbest, so come on. Come
No.
on. You can't be dumber than me.
The Strangers Chapter 1. Next was a movie I was legitimately excited about. They did a presentation for it at CinemaCon, and I really liked what I saw. It's a legacy director, M. Night's daughter, The Watchers.
Ooh,
Yeah.
How good did that look at CinemaCon?
it was confusing, but I was interested.
Yeah, like it was a little like, what's going on here? And I was into it and all that kind of
So
stuff.
you seen
And I'm
that
like,
movie? You watched it?
yeah, fairies.
Oh,
It's, and you know what? I
Okay,
say
let's
that. I say that like fairies. If they had shown me a 2-page synopsis of the movie, I would have gone, yeah, there's the bones here to make something really kind of cool, but it really did not end up being very good at all. The third one I'll mention is another film I was so hyped for because it's got my boy Henry
Oh yeah.
Argyle.
And it's probably the worst thing on Apple TV Plus. Every time I see that it's on Apple TV Plus, I'm like, how could you, Apple?
I didn't even finish it.
It was so bad, and I absolutely adore everybody involved in that film.
oh yeah, what a cast.
Right? So you got Bryce Dallas Howard, who I adore. You obviously got my boy Henry. John Cena's in there. I get a huge kick out of John Cena. You got Moon Boy, Academy Award winner
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell in there. I love everybody involved with that. I was so hyped for this movie, and it's just so bad.
You know what it sounds like? Gangsta Squad. Remember that? With
It
the
was like
all-star-
Gangster Squad all
all-star
over again.
cast and then nothing. Okay.
So like Argyle. So none of those are in any particular order, just bad, except for this one.
Oh, the final.
The final. The King.
Mr. Mrs. Bad Movie of 2024
That's right.
so far goes to
Madam Web.
Oh,
I mean,
I even
obviously.
forgot that came out this year.
Like, I tried so hard to push it out of my memory.
yeah, I want to forget that it came out.
And I'm
What
not
a
trying to
waste.
beat a dead horse because I even did. Remember this a few weeks ago? I decided to watch it again because Anne hadn't seen it yet.
Oh yeah,
And
I
I'm
was
like,
there,
you
too.
know what?
How is that?
Maybe it wasn't as bad as I was thinking. Let's watch it again.
Did it help?
The
second
alcohol
time around?
didn't even help that night.
Oh my god!
I had a little alky that night, and I was like, "What the heck?"
It makes it funnier though. I
No,
feel
it made me
makes
sober actually.
It made me sober.
Just a
I've
buzzkill.
been clean ever since.
Sober.
Been clean ever since that night.
No more drinking.
No more
Oh
drinking.
my
No more
gosh,
drugs.
That was really bad.
Now, just like we did with the best movies of the year, want to mention some honorable mentions from the world of streaming? Let's do that. I only got one to mention, but it's really two. Rebel, fuck you.
Oh,
Oh,
I completely forgot.
and again, I forgot. I mean, because prior to Rebel Moon, and I feel the need to, for anybody who's new is joining us, you have to understand I am a Zack Snyder fan. There's only ever been one, prior to Rebel Moon, there's only ever been one Zack Snyder film that I didn't like, and that was Sucker Punch. Other than that, I even got a big kick out of Army of the Dead. Not everybody loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. I really like Zack Snyder's movies, other than Sucker Punch. Rebel Moon is so unspeakably bad. I'll say this. It might be as bad as Madam Web. And I know them's is fighting words. But it may actually be as bad or in some ways it's worse than Madam Web.
Oh,
To be fair, though, we have to compare the two director cuts to Madam Web's director
That's
cut.
right. We haven't seen the Zack
No.
Snyder director cut
And then compare it to Madam Web's director cut when that comes out. So, yes, we got to do
of
that.
Rebel Fuck You Moon. Yes. So there's that. Was there any other on streaming?
Atlas. I don't know. I don't know why.
I
Jennifer
forgot
Lopez. I need to finish that
Visually
one.
beautiful.
Oh no, it looked.
Yeah.
It actually looked top notch.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing about Rebel Moon.
Very
Look
good.
wise and
Well-
like effects wise, some of it
I
was
don't know,
really cool.
man. There was some effects that were janky.
Some of the effects was really cool.
Some of the effects were really good, but a lot of the times it didn't even look like they were standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
It looked like they were standing in front of an old school Broadway backdrop painting. It's like, am I? No, you're right. Some of the stuff did look really good, but Atlas was really bad. That was another one.
Horrible.
Oh my God! Seeking God's Will in the live chat. I forgot this was another. I think it was from
Ricky
this year.
Stenicki.
Ricky Stenicki.
Oh, you guys were so hyped for that.
I was so excited. I thought the
looked
trailers were
promising.
great.
It looked
The
promising.
trailers were great. I love Zac Efron.
John Cena.
John Cena doing his thing in there. The trailers I thought were straight up fire. I thought the trailers looked so good. I was so psyched for that movie.
I'm embarrassed to say I liked it. It was funny to me. I mean, it's what I
Well,
expected.
there you go. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
important thing. It's if you found it funny.
Smiling the whole time.
It had its moments.
Yeah.
It had its moments, but man, I wanted to love Ricky Stenicki's. Oh, I wanted to love that movie so much.
What's the well? As soon as we get done, what do you think about the next half of the year? What do you think? Do you expect good things coming up?
I
Yeah.
expect a lot of good things.
Is there one you're worried about but you're hyped about? Me is Twisters. That's in the real
Twister.
news.
Well, I know
Twisters.
because I know you're really hyped for Twisters. You are really hyped for
But
Twisters.
man, I have a bad feeling. That's why I'm seeing in 40x to shake all the bad feelings out of me.
Shake all the bad feelings out. One I am super stoked of, but a little nervous, is Joker Folie à Deux. Joker 2. Because while I think it's very creative, it is a risk introducing musical elements and stuff like that. There's a risk. I mean, but listen, we as movie fans are always asking our filmmakers, we want them to take big swings. We want them to take risks. But taking a risk means by definition that there is a possibility of some big failure. Like when you swing big, the biggest home run hitters are also the ones that strike out the most. So, Jonathan's our baseball guy. He can attest to that.
Yeah.
We swing big, you could miss big. And while I am very psyched for Joker 2, that is the one I got a little bit of apprehension for, because this director completely crushed it and created an all-time comedy classic when he made The Hangover. And then he made The Hangover 2.
Oh.
Am I saying that's what's going to happen with him with Joker and Joker 2? No, but I'm just saying they are taking a big swing. And if I had to say there was one for the second half of the year that I was super stoked about, but kind of worried about, it'll be Joker 2. So that'll be, but I mean, look, we also got
Alien Romulus.
Alien Romulus is one that I am low key, like super stoked for.
The one I'd say I'm excited for but worried about, which this wouldn't fall for you because I don't think you really care, but Beetlejuice because I care, because I want it to be good.
I care so
See,
much.
I'm not looking forward to that movie.
Did you like the original Beetlejuice?
I did, but I'm not one of those people. 'Cause
Yeah.
I got so many of my friends that are like, the original Beetlejuice to a lot of people is like the original Top Gun. Like, it's just like,
That's
that is just
me.
so-
I'm that person.
I know
Yeah.
so many people like that. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, yeah, it was a good movie. I liked Beetlejuice, but I don't understand the hype for it. Although I gotta say, that CinemaCon presentation they did for Beetlejuice got me a little bit more psyched.
The studio's confident about it. That's
They
for
are
sure.
super confident
Yeah,
about
it was one of their headliners.
They have
We got
high
Jenna
belief in
Ortega.
that.
I feel like she was great as Wednesday. I feel like this role's made for her.
Oh yeah.
They bring it back with Nona. I'm really excited but worried. I'm worried about that.
Right. So I think that has the potential to
I wonder how Wild Robot will track.
Oh, I was
that-
about to hold on, John.
Wild Robot. I'm so excited for.
Hold on, John.
Raise it again.
This is bad news for Wild Robot.
Okay.
Before Despicable Me 4, they played a longer trailer, and it actually got me not excited for the film. And I
Really?
can't explain why.
Is it the longer trailer that shows the other robots coming to try to get
No,
her?
this is a new. This like told like the whole story. It was long. It was a long trailer, and I just the mystery about it just left my body, and now it's kind of like.
Well, I know
don't
they played it at a recent animation film festival and it got a standing ovation. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to hold out hope for that.
Yeah.
And of course, the bigger ones for me too are obviously because I'm a huge Moana guy.
Right, I was just
so
looking at that.
Moana 2, very stoked about.
Mufasa.
Mufasa, I don't have the look. You got one of the best, most creative filmmakers in the world making this movie. and who's clearly very, very passionate about it. So I don't know whether to be excited about it or not yet. I am very curious about Mufasa. Very curious about it. Not super excited about it yet. But I mean, it's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as Deadpool and Wolverine really kills it,
then you
it's
can
like,
get over that hurdle.
the whole year was good to me. The whole year would be good to me. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think are, like, say, the 5 best, and remember, we're putting asterisks on this, make it wide release films that were theatrical. What would you say are the 5 best films that we put out there? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you guys think. All right. With that down, guys, we're going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. My mobile service provider, and they should be yours, Mint Mobile, and the good folks at BetterHelp. You know when you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you bump on repeat and you have to share it with your friends so they can experience just how awesome is an awesome deal. There is no way you can keep it to yourself. My last mobile service provider was quite good, but ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've enjoyed even better coverage, better phone clarity, and I'm paying less than a third of what I paid to my old provider. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. We want to thank a sponsor of today's episode, BetterHelp. You know, guys, it's one of the most unfortunate human tendencies that we have to try to compare our life to others. And social media plays a big part of that. Comparison is like the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives because on the surface, it might look like they have it all together on their Instagram or YouTube, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile and BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, let's get on to the important stuff. What you guys have to say, shall we? Paris, what do we got up first?
All right. Carlos S. says, I heard latest episode of Acolyte had a sexy Twilight type of Sith shirtless. Haha.
I wouldn't know. I have, listen, so I have, for those of you who don't know, I have tapped out. I don't watch The Acolyte anymore because I don't hate watch stuff. So I watched The Acolyte enough to know that it is not for me and I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. And so instead of just hate watching it and then every week complaining about how bad the show is, I decided to just tap out and not talk about it anymore. So I'll take your word for it, but I haven't seen it myself.
I can't remember if it was Jeremy Johns or read it somewhere and someone called it a Sith trap instead of thirst trap.
Sith trap.
That's actually really funny, though.
All right, what's next?
All right. Stubble McShave says, it seems Paramount dodged a bullet with Horizon. It would have seemed logical for them to put up the cash for it. If Paramount had been the ones to pony up the cash for the Horizon movies, would its performance have affected the ongoing negotiations?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Look, the reality is we don't know really the true details of the behind the scenes drama. Everybody thinks they know because they read it on some sites, but we really don't know. What is clear is that Horizon is an absolute disaster. It might be a good movie, but I mean, financially, it's an absolute disaster. And they are currently filming the third one.
Oh.
I don't know who's going to go see the second one because no one's going to go see the second one that didn't see the first one. And nobody is seeing the first one.
And they're filming the third.
They're already in progress of filming the third one, according to Variety. So like there are people that are going to be losing like so much money on this.
I always felt this should have just been like a 12-part miniseries, like an hour each.
It probably should have been. You know what they should have done? He should have negotiated with Paramount and Paramount Plus. Hey, finance this. I'll sign a 3-year extension for whatever, and we'll make it a YouTube series. I mean, or not a YouTube series, a Paramount Plus series.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are losing everything over this movie. All right, what's next?
All right, Sam Fisher.
Sam Fisher says, I imagine Superman as there are already superheroes, and the superheroes are a bit like the superheroes in The Boys. They're not evil, but they're not really heroes either. They're selfish, they don't do everything they can. Then Clark comes on the scene as Superman, and he either vows to be the best superhero, or just by nature of being who he is, because that's how the Kents raised him, inspires the other heroes to be better, to be the paragons they are in the comics. It feels very timely. Did I lose it? Very timely and very James Gunn.
I mean, remember though, this is not a Superman origin story. Like Superman has already been around for a bit, right? So this isn't like now. A lot of people believe that there are going to be elements of several different key Superman stories, right? Including a little bit maybe of Kingdom Come, which could be a thing about maybe the superheroes have lost their way a little bit and Superman has been around for a little while and he's kind of like still very idealistic about what a hero should be. And maybe that makes why a good Guy Gardner is a good counterpoint to that in there. Because we see in the costume outfits we see of Guy Gardner with Nathan Fillion, like some corporate logos on them, which is going to be in there as well. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, what's next?
Nova Kaiju.
Nova Kaiju Comics says, hi, quick correction. The Godzilla film I was talking about in my last tip was King of the Monsters. Mothra.
Yeah, we figured that out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ghidorah.
not the Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Okay. But you said you like that one even less, and I'm still bewildered by that.
Fair enough. I mean, again, that's the beautiful thing about film. Like it hits us all different ways. And I'm not trying to take away from your enjoyment at all, nor am I trying to discredit your enjoyment. Not at all. If you liked it, that's great. There's a number of films that I like that other people don't like, and that's totally cool. But yes, I thought the movie was terrible. I think it's terrible. It has some really good moments in it, but yeah, for me, it was an awful movie, but that should not take away at all your enjoyment of the film. All right, what's next?
Like me and Ricky Stenicki. But
Yes.
Tristan Thorpe says, my favorite excuse when these toxic Star Wars fans defend themselves is when they say, I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid and I was bullied for liking it. Talk about irony.
Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Everybody was bullied for something. I mean, I was not bullied a lot as a kid, only because I think I was 5'9" in grade 7. So I never got bullied a lot. There was a little bit of this. So I got lucky, but everybody got bullied for something. Everybody got made fun of for being a Star Wars fan. That does not give you a license to be a dick. So it's just that. I'd like, what is the line that, Rocket says to Drax? Oh, boo-hoo, I lost my wife. We've all lost people. Yeah, it doesn't give you a license to be a dick. All right, what's next?
Tristan Thorpe again says, I finally got Max and binged House of the Dragon, yes, season 1, and gotta say, incredible. Also, Rhaenyra having a miscarriage at the end. Speechless because of how brutal it was to watch, and her silence afterwards shattered me internally. Spoiler alert.
Season 1.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, season 1. Listen, again, I can't believe how I continuously am floored by the quality of this show. And every time I think they've like hit any kind of a high point, I just think then they beat it and they climb past it. I cannot wait to see where the rest of the season goes. They've already started taking some major deviations from the books, and I thought that have just made the story more interesting on screen. So we'll see how far they go with it. All right, what's next?
Rewatching these last episodes of season 2 just because they're so great. But,
yeah.
All right, Will Kaler says, hey, John and crew, big fan since your AMC days. I just watched If recently and absolutely loved it. Did you catch the credits at the end? Kevin, the invisible If, is played by Brad Pitt.
Yes.
Reynolds' idea for sure. So love you all and thanks for everything.
Yeah, I thought that was so. First of all, I love the Kevin bit through the entire. Listen, not everybody liked If. Just like that one guy can't understand why I don't like that one Godzilla movie. I don't understand people not liking If. I had a wonderful time with it, but it's all subjective, right? The Kevin bits, the invisible imaginary friend, was hilarious. Then in the credits at the end, when it says Kevin, Brad Pitt. Of course, that's a callback to Deadpool 2, where I can't remember the name of the character in Deadpool 2, but basically one of the heroes in X-Force is an invisible man who, when he flies, accidentally when skydiving and has his parachute come out and he flies into electric wires, for just a split second he becomes visible, and we see that it's Brad Pitt. So them making that as a gag, I thought that was genius. Only Deadpool fans would get it, but I thought it was genius. The Vanisher. Thank you guys in the live chat. It was the Vanisher. All right, what's next?
It's gonna be Robert down there.
All right, Robert Ryan McReynolds says, "Hi crew, how much would you all bet the new Wolverine will be introduced in Deadpool 3?"
Zero. Absolute zero. $0. Because you won't. No, you know what? I take that back. I'll bet everything that it won't be. If you want to put money on that you think the new Wolverine will be introduced in this movie, I'll put all the money on it. Because no, he won't. I really don't think. And I don't know that for a fact. Because I will. It takes everything in me. Just 2 days ago, here's my phone. I was emailing with Ryan Reynolds. And all we were talking about was Canada playing in the semifinal or in the quarterfinals in the Copa Cup against Venezuela on Friday. Big day for Canadian soccer. But I have mustered every ounce of my personal willpower to never ask him anything about Deadpool. I can honestly say that I have never once, at least in the last couple of years, I've never once asked him anything about Deadpool. And it kills me not to. So I don't know for a fact, because whenever Deadpool stuff comes up, I get accused by some people saying, oh, Campea actually knows, because no, I don't. I honestly don't. I don't for a fact know anything about what's going to come up in Deadpool and who will or won't. But I feel very confident in saying that I do not believe for a second that we're going to get the Wolverine replacement. I don't think they're anywhere close to that. All right, what's next?
Bry Guy.
Bry Guy D. Stringham says, Minions verse Miniettes. After accidentally being turned into female minions, Gru's three girls must find a way back to normal before Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, as speaking minions voiced by Ryan Reynolds, Jack Black, and Bill Hader, tries to marry them. I'm guessing that's just like a pitch?
Yeah. No, I like the minions the way they are. Leave the girls. They're precious and adorable the way they are. Leave that all alone. We'll move on. All right, what's next?
Let's see. The Canyon.
The Canon says, if you were CEO and took a swing on a unique project by an established director and it bombed hard, what would you look at to determine the right lessons to learn from? There are so many factors in what makes a project go wrong. Love to all the crew.
Well, you can't possibly answer that without the specific example. You know, like you look at Madam Web bombing versus Horizon bombing. Like, so each of them would be a completely different set of lessons, right? Those two movies bombed for completely different reasons. And throw Furiosa into that. Furiosa, Horizon, Madam Web. 3 big movies, all bombed, but all of them bombed for absolutely fundamentally different reasons. So you can't just say, if you did some movie and it bombed, what do you think would be the lessons to take away from it? It completely depends on the movie. The lessons to be learned from Horizon are completely different from the lessons to be learned in Furiosa, which are completely different the lessons to be learned in Madam Web. So it really all depends on the film. It's a good question, but you need to be a little bit more specific. All right, what's next?
Mr. Robert Ryan at the bottom there, I forgot.
Robert Ryan McReynolds says, hi crew, what are the odds that Hughes...
Already did that one.
Oh, he did that one? I thought he had 2. All right. Spencer
West says, tip Q from Tuesday's show. One of the GOAT director filmographies folks should check out is Federico Fellini.
Yeah.
Everyone from David Lynch to Martin Scorsese worships at his altar. A true titan of the form. Kudos for recommending Ford, John.
Again, I have to emphasize again, go back, check out Ford's filmography. He did things like nobody talks about Ford today, but he did things literally that nobody has ever been able to replicate and do. which is like completely phenomenal. And it's so funny too, because like when the Fablemans came out, so many people asking, so who was that guy at the end they made up? No, that wasn't a guy at the end they made up. That was a real guy. Where the hell's the Horizon? That's a real guy. So I definitely recommend people to go and check that out. And you know, we don't talk like on our show. We are mainly talking about news, things that are going on today. We talk about today's movies. We don't really have segments and stuff like that we talk about ages past and things like that, because we're a contemporary daily news show. But I mean, taking from that and recommendations about old filmographies, old properties, iconic names, do yourself a favor and check out some of them. And I like the recommendations. All right, what's next?
All right. The dude says this episode of The Boys is brought to you by Milk and Cake.
I always watch new episodes of The Boys on Thursdays, so I have not seen a new episode of The Boys. So there's that. All right, what's next?
All right. Don't You Blame the Movie says, it's happened. I've seen the worst film of 2024.
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. In a violent nature. Impossible for a worse film to exist. It has gory, over-the-top kills, but just walking, lots of walking. Terrible dialogue. The whole ending. I mean, who cares about Bobby? But 81% critic score.
Wow.
I have not seen A Violent Nature. This is the one that Nash directed, and I don't know anything about it. Let me just bring up something here so I can. Okay, let me bring it up. Yeah, Chris Nash directed it. I haven't watched it. Is it even in theaters? I honestly don't know.
It is.
It is?
I think so.
Yeah, I never even bothered. I
Maybe limited, but
I haven't heard anything about it, good or bad. So that's the first real put in I've heard it, but I haven't watched a trailer to it or anything.
Colin says it was good until the last 15 minutes.
Ah, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Oh.
All right. What's next?
All right. Matan Belensky says, as it is USA Independence Day today, can we talk on how the same guy that plays A-Train played on that horrible ID4 sequel, Captain Hiller's super monotone son? Is it? Okay, so it is hard to believe it's the same guy. He gave a bad show on ID4R.
I had no idea.
yeah, Jesse, the guy who plays A-Train.
A-Train.
Yeah, he was in Independence Day.
He was in ID4.
Yeah.
I did not know
He was
that.
Will Smith's son or something like that.
Or his son's buddy or
something like that. He had some connection with Will Smith's character.
I had no idea.
Go back.
You know what, by the way,
I think his name is Jesse Usher, something like that.
Jesse T. Usher.
T. Usher.
So on that same vein though, I don't know why, but you know how on Facebook you get like hey, just a reminder, you posted this like 8 years ago, whatever. For those of you, this is kind of in the same vein as what our writer was just writing in about, who, when you think of Rainn Wilson, you think, oh yeah, got his start on The Office. Want to remind everybody, want to bring this up, Jonathan?
Oh.
He actually got a start on Galaxy Quest. Rainn Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, in Galaxy Quest. That he was long before The Office.
Hilarious.
He was what's the big saying? What's the
Oh,
not
their
by
motto?
Brett Lars Hammer, but like never give up, never surrender. That's right, something like that. Never give up, never surrender.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the alien guys in Galaxy Quest. Just a little fun thing there. All right, what's next?
Stuart J says, when people talk about great movie scores, I think Kingdom of Heaven is criminally underrated. Burning the Past is so epic. Also, anyone who hated that movie in theaters should watch the director's cut. Totally different movie and worthy of Ridley's name.
Yeah. That's one of the few director's cuts where I'm like, yep, that one was a necessary one. It made it so much better.
Kingdom of Heaven is kind of the poster child. Orlando Bloom, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie's kind of the poster child for when people justify director's cuts.
Right.
Because I contend most of the time director's cuts either actually end up taking away from the movie or really don't add all that much. It's just something for the sake of something. But there are some examples, and Kingdom of Heaven usually ends up being that one that becomes the hallmark.
And
for
the Donner cut of Superman 2. I prefer, and I hear that a lot.
I actually didn't. I kind of
Really?
prefer the theatrical
I
one.
love
over the
that
Donner
scene
cut.
in the hotel room when she discovers who he is. It just, to me, it just seems so much more, I don't know, heartfelt. But like Aliens, the director's cut, I don't like it more. I like the theatrical Aliens more.
Yeah, me too.
So
All right, what's next?
Are we at
Right,
Ryan Dude?
yeah.
Ryan Dude says, "What if Lady Deadpool is Madonna?"
Then Lady Deadpool is Madonna.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Random.
I
Maybe
mean,
random, yeah.
I mean, sure, cool. That'd be.
Oh, it's because the trailer song, right? That's probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, didn't even think about that.
Okay.
Oh.
Just like I mean, yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
She keeps herself in dancer shape. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, what's next?
Spider
Yavnik, I
Yavnik
think.
says, "Hi crew, started watching your show when I was in high school. Now I'm finishing college with
Nice.
computer science degree. Awesome, congrats. John, you always strike me as a very wise person, so I have a question to you and the crew. Would you rather be smart or a kind person?
You can't be both.
If you got to choose."
I think it's smart to be kind.
Okay, if I'm not going to cheat and say hopefully both, then the thing that will then life is about legacy, and the thing that will leave you a longer legacy is kindness.
Right.
So I would say kindness. That's what I would say at any rate. Now, if you offered world's smartest person or kind, it might be like if I could do some good things for humanity while being a jerk. Okay, good. That's fine. But otherwise, all things being equal, I'll choose kind. All right, what's next?
All right, Murray Reich.
Like kinds of kindness.
Says, went to see Despicable Me 4, and overall, it's a terrible movie. Wow, but I definitely was entertained. Chuckled a bit. After the first two movies, the rest of the franchise got so dumb, like Looney Tunes. But we had a packed audience. July 3rd, came 10 minutes early.
And then
His exact
I don't
description.
actually see his set. I think that was it.
I
don't
think you
see
got it all finished in one
Yeah.
thing there. True story. I didn't go see it. I didn't see the movie. Ann and Ray and I went to go see the movie.
Yeah, we left together.
Yep, we left together and we came back together,
Yeah, we came back together.
but we didn't see the movie together.
But
something
everything
happened
in between that
there.
was all a blur.
Yeah, it was
It
all
was just a blur. We don't know what happened.
Because so here's what happened. So first of all, our local AMC keeps their movie theater freezing, and I actually like that. I like it,
Keeps you awake.
but I just remember always to bring a jacket. That's all. So, and I was wearing a t-shirt and I forgot to bring my jacket. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a little uncomfortable in the movie. And I pre-ordered food. And when I got there, the food wasn't there. And I'm like, hey dude, where's my food? And they're like, can I see your order? And I hold up my phone and goes, oh, you ordered it to the Burbank AMC. And I'm like, I almost screamed out because I was so mad. I almost screamed out, fuck. But then I realized that we were about to see Despicable Me 4 and there was a lot of children in line at the concession stand. So I didn't say that. So now I had a choice. I either had to double down and double pay to get my popcorn and soda, or go into a cold movie theater, which is perfectly fine. I like my movie theaters cold, but I didn't bring my jacket and with no popcorn and snack. And I was in such a bad mood that I just turned to Anna and I said, baby, I'm no longer in the right frame of mind to watch this movie. You and Ray go watch it. I'm going to go sit in the air-conditioned car and watch YouTube videos. So I didn't watch the movie because I was so mad.
Yeah, and then I
Ray's
didn't want
thought, though.
I didn't want to point out that that person who got your popcorn and soda at Burbank tweeted and posted him eating your popcorn and soda.
Actually eating my
And I
free
didn't want to
popcorn
send that
at the
to you
Burbank
because
thing.
that would have been horrible.
It was
No,
actually
you know
me.
what? This guy's description of the movie is exactly the way I felt. The storyline, I was just confusing. I didn't get, but it was entertaining. And that's what a lot of these movies have been for me lately. Garfield, it was very entertaining. So you know what? As long as you have fun, it doesn't have to be an Oscar winner. As long as you leave the theater happy.
Look,
and that's what happened.
Movies
with us.
are supposed to be experiential events. That's what movies are. And if they give you a positive experience, that's all. That's at the end of the day, that is all that matters. So yeah, but I didn't get a chance to see it because I was in such a bad mood. All right, what's next?
Will DLC says, been wondering recently if we take inflation into account enough when discussing box office performance.
Not this again.
Oh gosh, for
Okay, go ahead.
example, Matrix Reloaded opening weekend adjusted would be approximately 150 million, which would place it higher than Deadpool in the rated R charts.
There's there a part two? Yeah.
Similar adjustments could impact how we judge Inside Out 2's performance versus historic animated movies. Adjusting every time we discuss such things would be exhausting, but I do think it's interesting.
But it's also completely non enforceable. It's also completely irrelevant. Here's why. People, I get asked this question at least once a month. John, why don't you take inflation? I'll tell you why. Because while inflation is a variable, inflation is a variable, right? Because inflation is different. You know, the cost of a movie ticket in this year compared to the cost of a movie ticket in this year. So it's a variable. The reason why it is pointless to try to bring that variable into the discussion is because now you're cherry picking which variables to bring in and which variables to leave out, because inflation isn't the only variable. Inflation isn't even the biggest variable. You want to talk about when The Matrix Reloaded came out? Okay, sure. Okay, you want to bring in the variable, but what the cost of ticket was? Okay, how about this variable? When Matrix Reloaded came out, there wasn't streaming services. When The Matrix Reloaded came out, or certain movies came out, the PS5 wasn't out there. When The Matrix Reloaded came out, there wasn't this and all these things competing for the entertainment dollar, and none of that was there. You could make the argument that while The Matrix Reloaded had maybe a smaller ticket price, it also had a lot of things it had at its advantage that movies coming out today don't have. The basic point is, and I've gone more into detail than before, just this, to sum it up, is this. Yes, inflation is a variable, but you don't just get to cherry pick the variables. If you want to take that variable into consideration, then you got to bring other bigger variables into consideration. And to me, it basically washes itself out. So to me, while there is no perfect system, the best system is still just taking everything on face value. If a movie in 1994 made $30 million in its opening weekend, taking out all variables, the most fair basic thing to do is just to put it on an equal level with what the movies came out today. Yes, these movies had a bigger ticket price, but those movies didn't have 1/10 of the amount of competition for its entertainment dollar at the time. So that's why it's pointless and irrelevant to try to take inflation into account, because then you're just taking one variable while leaving out the others, and that's not a fair system either. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Caleb Jacobs says, I really enjoyed the Fall Guy Ryan Gosling movie. This movie deserves more love. It is underrated.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I thought, they showed us a full screening of it at CinemaCon this year, and I couldn't believe how much fun I had with it. I thought it was a really well done movie. Totally deserved to do better than it did, because that movie flopped. Totally deserved better. But you know, sometimes good movies make money, and sometimes bad movies make money. Sometimes good movies don't. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, opinions on the running theories that Hugh's bare arms are CG. I frankly don't care as long as it's Hugh's performance all around. I understand that precautions had to be taken for his safety. Just happy to see the full Wolverine glory.
Okay, here's
Those rumors.
I've seen those around. Here's why it's ridiculous. Because his arms look even better in his little social media posts when he's with his trainer working out. Like, if there was some night and day difference between the photos we've seen of him and the videos we've seen of him just working out with his trainer, and he looked half the size in those as he does in the sleeveless scenes in the movie, then I'd go, hey, something's wrong here. But he looks like a fucking monster.
I mean, he
in the
works
gym.
out till he almost vomits.
Is
Look,
this
he
ageism?
looks like
why are people doubting this? I don't understand.
Yeah,
I wonder if
listen,
it's some of your friends that
I
were
know.
saying
I'm
he's
like,
too
yeah,
old.
who said this? You know, that's what I'm wondering, because this is weird.
I don't
Yeah.
even think he would let that even happen.
no,
Like,
he would never allow that.
I think he would be. You worked so hard on you'd probably be the type of person where, like, show my arms the way they are.
The only thing I could think of is like someone misinterpreted, like, oh, they had to use CGI over like a mask because at a moment a sword goes through his arm, and so you're masking a part of that to animate where the sword goes through or something like that. And they're like, it was CGI. His arms are fake.
And again, I get it, because in that shot, the slow-mo, life is a mystery, and they're walking around the corner, you go, damn, Hugh, like you look at his arms. But again, if there was some significant difference between those arms and the arms we see him from the videos and the pictures and everything of him just working out in the gym, if there was some big difference, I'd go, yeah, but there's not any difference.
Yeah.
He's huge
Exactly.
Okay.
in those workout
I mean,
videos.
go ahead.
The opening for Deadpool and Wolverine, Hugh needs to walk in with sleeveless suit. just do it, man.
Just
I mean,
do it.
be proud of the work you've done just to, for this movie.
I mean, do people think those are actually Ryan Reynolds' arms when he's loading the gun mid-air and like getting the clip
Yeah.
in the chamber mid-air?
I do.
And,
Yes.
it's like, yeah, that's CGI.
The clips are CGI. The arms aren't CGI.
No, but where he's like going like that and stuff like that, I guarantee you there's masking and stuff to
but
clean that shot up.
I just think the things that are CGI and they're masking are different from the things you think they're CGI and masking. It's totally a make-believe shot, 100%. But again, if there was a difference, yes, but we already saw that he's that big. So seeing him that big in the movie, no, it's not CGI. To Jonathan's point, maybe there's a CGI element in there, but it ain't his arms. All right, what's next?
All right. Alan R says, what makes me mad about The Acolyte besides the writing is that Soul and Kaimir, sorry, don't watch that, are the best.
Kimir.
Q-I-M-I-R. It's Q-I, not Q.
Oh yeah.
Are the best characters, and yet they are the least developed, and we know the least about them. May and Asherwa not needed, and focus should have been on Soul, Jekki, and Kamir.
Yeah.
I really do like the twin characters. I do. I think there's a lot of potential there. It's an interesting setup. It's fine. Lee Jung-jae playing Soul, by far the MVP of the series. By far. And Kamir's character could have been really cool. I don't know, he lost me. There are some who called me Tim. Kind of lost me a bit. I don't know, but to me, yeah, Soul was the MVP character. Look, again, the show had some potential and had some promise. The first 2 episodes had potential, also had some big red flags, and then it just kind of, for me, went straight downhill after that.
How far did you get? How many episodes?
I got to, what was last week's
5.
episode? I got to episode 5.
I got through 2.
I think they just released episode 6,
Yep.
but I
you gave it a
got
try.
more than halfway. I got halfway through. I just couldn't do it anymore. All right, what's next?
Going on to members here with Sean up there.
Sean Motley, 1898 says, Happy 4th, everyone. Hey, John, you mentioned how A Quiet Place Day 1 didn't provide more information on the creatures. I don't see how that can be when this is the prequel. This is the first appearance of the creatures, so there would not be any information. As advancing the story, this is a new story based on a different group.
Completely incorrect. Yes, it is a prequel. Yes, it is about day 1, but it's being told from a completely different perspective. Thus, telling the story from a different perspective, you could have given us information that a small family living out in the countryside, we never would have learned from their perspectives. Like, we could have learned so much about how did they land. We see streaks across the sky. How do they land? What do they come out of? Like, things like that could have given us hints from their origins and stuff like that. When you tell the same story, but from a different perspective, you can have loads of new information, right? Because we only know things about the alien race from the perspective of Emily Blunt's family, and that's fine. But now we're from a new perspective, a big city, when they first land, all that kind of stuff. Like, there could have been so much that could have been revealed to us. And I'm not looking for a world of stuff, just even a little bit more things to give us a new. Look, and none of that stopped it from being a great movie to me. I still really love the movie. But yes, even though it was a prequel, you absolutely could have shared new information about the aliens with us. Because we're in our 3rd movie now.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it seems like they are not. It seems like they were sent. It doesn't seem like they're there intelligently, like planning this out. Something sent them. So there's probably more to that.
Like, just a little bit. Because we literally don't know, in our 3rd movie, we literally don't know anything more about these invaders than we did from the first scene of the first movie. And taking advantage of a completely different perspective could have given them the opportunity to give us that. All right. And again, I still love the movie. I think the movie's great. All right. What's next?
All right. King Daddy Goat says, Happy 4th, crew. Hope you all are having a great day. OU 40%. Is this
Over, under.
Over, under 40%. We have the Celestial hanging out in the ocean mentioned in Deadpool and Wolverine.
40%'s a high number.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance, because I believe that they are going to be ruthlessly mocking a lot of the MCU in this MCU film. I think they will. And I think it'll be great. I think it's great that Kevin Feige's going to let them do it. So I do think there's a chance for a joke like that, but 40% is a huge number. So I'll go under on that, but I would go over 10%. All right, what's next?
All right, Charles Edmond says, if you have seen it, did you like Beverly Hills Cop? AF, I loved it. Happy 4th of July.
Haven't seen it yet. Haven't sat down to watch it. Busy last couple of 48 hours. I am absolutely planning on watching it. Like I said yesterday, I'm a little bit nervous about it because of Coming to America 2. So, but I'm hearing some decent things about it. Like last I checked, it had like a 67% critic rating. So some pretty decent. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I haven't seen it yet. All right, what's next?
I think it's Kocha, David Kocha.
Oh, okay, David Kocha says, hey, John, going to Canada's Wonderland tomorrow.
Nice. I haven't been there in like 25 years.
Ooh, nostalgia. Well, I miss when Paramount owned them back in the day with the iconic ride names like Top Gun, Cliffhanger, Italian Job, etc. Have you ever taken Anne and Ray while in Canada?
I don't think it was ever open I've taken, Anne has come back to Canada with me about 5 or 6 times, but we usually go in the winter. So normally we go around, Christmas time and stuff like that. We did go the one summer, but we just hung out at the cottage, at the family cottage.
Is this amusement park in
Yes.
Canada?
Yep.
What's it called?
Going
Wonderland?
to Canada's Wonderland. It used to be called Paramount's Canada's Wonderland.
As in the studio?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
But it's only open for a certain period of the year because, we have real winters up there. Yeah. But no, I've never taken them yet.
Well, there's real winters in America, just not Southern California.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Double BS Studio says, besides Deadpool, which other movies are you looking forward to this year?
Well, we talked about some of them, like Alien Romulus, ever since CinemaCon jumped way up on my list, the Wild Robot is right up there. Obviously Joker is right up there. War of the Rohirrim. Jonathan brought up when we were doing the ad break that we forgot to mention War of the Rohirrim. War of the Rohirrim is one I am very interested in, even though we haven't seen any trailers or anything like that. Very excited about that one as well. Jonathan, you mentioned one or two others that you were looking forward to.
Nosferatu.
Yes, Nosferatu, Robert Eggers' new film.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
All right. Doll.
Oh, by the way, Safwat in the Wicked. Listen.
Oh, yeah.
I am not Wicked's target audience, but the 2 presentations they have done at CinemaCon, 2 years in a row for it, have got me legitimately excited for it. I think it's going to be great. So yes, I'm definitely looking forward to Wicked.
The Doll official or DAL official
It
says,
could just be an acronym, no idea.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Harry Potter Max series and the news that Francesca Gardiner and Mark Mylode from Succession is set to showrun, write, and direct?
Well, we did an entire segment of this on our show the other week. So they've gotten showrunners, producers, and directors from shows like Ozark, Succession, and Game of Thrones coming to run this show. And we shouldn't be surprised. HBO is still the singular gold standard when it comes to making excellence in television. Not everything they've ever done is great, but they have a higher win percentage and the consistency of the excellence. When you put together the pantheon of the all-time greatest TV shows, a disproportionate amount of those shows are going to end up being HBO shows. So the fact that they got those type of creative leads, that kind of a pedigree, I'll be honest with you guys, I think it's very exciting. And you know what? I am starting to hear, because there were a lot of Potter fans at first when they announced that they were going to kind of redo all the Harry Potter books, but as television series like that, were very apprehensive. But as time has gone on, I'm starting to pick up a lot more enthusiasm from people about conversations like, so much of the books were never able to be in the movies because each book was one movie. I don't know if you know a lot about movie making, but in movie making, 1 page of script is roughly 1 minute of screen time. So you're talking like 120 page script versus like a 400-page book or a 600-page book or whatever. And so I've been hearing more and more Harry Potter fans getting excited about the idea of like so much stuff that was never in the movies is going to get to be in there now because each book is going to be a full season.
I mean, they can delve into like the Horcruxes and the history of those things. They can go into the prophecies that, like in Order of the Phoenix, it was just basically like, and the prophecy says, you're like, wait, what is she saying?
Yeah.
You're like,
And now you're bringing in people who have like had a hand in producing, running, and developing Game of Thrones, Ozark, Succession. Listen, that doesn't guarantee the show's going to be good. Not at all. But damn, they're off to a good start. They're off to a really good start. All right, what's next?
Mr. Cash says, "Hi John, what upcoming Star Wars movie do you think have the biggest chance to turn things around for Star Wars universe?"
Right now, there's only one. There's only one. Like they keep talking about this Rey movie. I still think there's a high chance this movie doesn't happen. And it shouldn't happen. The only movie we know that's coming is the Mandalorian movie. That's it. Mandalorian movie. So it's hard to say.
Even if that movie is good, I don't think it's enough to turn things around. It has to be a succession of things that fall into place where people's get on the same page again with
are
Star
you talking
Wars.
about the Mandalorian?
Yeah, and Grogu. Even if it's good, people are gonna love. Let's say it's good, we're gonna love it. We're gonna love Baby Grogu. He's gonna be cute, whatever. To turn around what Star Wars has been, I don't know if that's enough.
It'll be like Deadpool and Wolverine is to Marvel. Like it'll be a good start. I
don't think it's a good start.
I've got two big apprehensions about it. My first apprehension, of course, is the fact that season 3 was not good. I love Mandalorian, but season 3 was not good. Like, we've cracked the case by finding a card in Star Wars. Found a card to a bar on a droid. A droid was walking around with a business card for a local bar it likes to go to. What the hell? Anyway. Season 3 of Mandalorian was not so good. And that gives me some warning flags. The other thing too is that they have automatically limited who's even going to go to see this thing to people who watch the show.
It's the Marvels effect.
And it hasn't even been that. Guys, in the grand scheme of things, not that many people have Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's a big streaming service, but not everybody has Disney Plus. So there is a reason that despite the fact that I have a world of respect for Kathleen Kennedy, she's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Steven Spielberg, who knows more than you and I do about making movies, Steven Spielberg says she's the greatest producer that Hollywood has ever had. And I believe him. But being a producer and being the executive and head runner of a studio are two different things. And Kathleen Kennedy clearly has shown over and over and over again, and I say this with all due respect, but she has shown over and over and over again she does not know how to run this company. And they have no solid plan. They have no roadmap. They just don't know what they're doing. And I say it, and I don't mean this as a joke, with all due respect, I've been saying for 5 years that she needs to move on and put somebody in there who's going to actually give a roadmap, give a plan, have an actual strategy with what they're doing. Instead of, what do we do now? Nothing's... Make a Mandalorian movie. I don't know. We'll see.
Which is, maybe not a direct prequel, but a prequel nonetheless to The Force Awakens. So now you're asking people to go back before The Force Awakens again. You know what I mean? Instead of just moving forward. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing some really dumb comments from people about, well, I would take so-and-so over Kathleen Kennedy. No producer in history, listen to this, no producer in history has the resume Kathleen Kennedy does. Her resume is filled with Best Picture winners, Best Picture nominees, best this, best that. The number of Academy Awards and nominations that her films that she's produced is crazy. And again, Steven Spielberg knows more about movies than you do. He knows more about movies than I do. He knows more about movies than anybody. And
Is that maybe Scorsese?
And I'd say more than Scorsese.
In terms of history,
personally,
though. In terms of history,
maybe.
Because that guy's like a walking library.
Yeah. He's a student. Like, Scorsese's not just one of the goats. He's also a student of film. But like Scorsese, if a Steven Spielberg says she's the greatest producer of all time, and you want to say you don't think she's a good producer, I'll say sure, you stick with that. But being a producer and being the head of a studio are two different things. And just because you're good at one clearly does not mean you're good at the other. Anyway. All right, let's just take a couple more here and we'll wrap it up.
All right. Unofficial Oscar Herrera says, "Hey John, Lego created Jaws in brick form, a la Lego movie. Have you seen it? Also, Steven Spielberg minifigure bit is the best."
They made a Lego movie of Jaws?
That's
No,
cool. I wonder if it's like
no.
on YouTube or something.
I think a Lego.
Or just a set?
Yeah, set.
Oh, if there's a set, I'd love to see that. That would be cool. But I've not heard of them doing a movie, depending on what it was saying. All right, what's next?
Oh, 7 hours ago. So this was just uploaded. Oh, okay, I see it. It's crazy.
What is it? Is it just a set?
It's like looks like a diorama of Jaws going after the boat.
Oh, okay,
See
well,
it?
that would be cool to
See,
see.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why. Wait, why? You got to learn this. You call
Oh,
attention
yeah.
to an image when none of our audience or the rest of us can see it.
You see it?
Yeah, look
everyone?
at this guy. Oh, yeah, this one came
Oh
up.
man,
This was
so
really
it's
cool.
the greatest thing I've ever
We
seen.
can't show it to
Oh,
our
they're
audience.
deleting it right now? Oh, there's no more chance you guys get to see it. I'm sorry. I just saw it. Sorry.
All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Go with Joe. So Joe Holland says, "How is the gang on the show? Happy 4th of July. Hope all is well.
Happy
Wanted
4th.
to ask you, do you think of all the horror movies left coming out for the year, do you think any of them will have a $1 billion run
No.
at the box
No.
office?
No.
Horror
No.
movies, no.
No.
No, it's like somebody asked me the other day, do I ever think a horror movie will hit the $1 billion mark? And I said yes, but it's going to be hard because horror is a genre that there's just a lot of people. It's not because they don't appreciate horror films, but like horror films are not for them. Like our own Chris Carr, like Chris loves movies. But you know, horror is not for her, and there's a lot of people like that. So while I do believe someday we will get a horror movie that joins the $1 billion film club, there's certainly nothing coming out this year that's going to do it. It's got a much bigger uphill climb than anything else.
The closest thing to horror that I thought would ever get it to $1 billion was Multiverse of Madness, or even Venom. In some areas of Venom, like there's horror elements.
There's definitely horror
elements, yeah.
elements,
But pure horror, I just don't see enough people
Yeah.
going to it. Even Smile, which was great.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that made, but
They
it's
didn't make
like
not much compared to $1 billion.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like Alien Romulus
What about-
isn't going to be $1 billion film or anything like that.
Let me look up Blair Witch, because that's the biggest horror film that
I think Blair Witch made like 300 million.
Well, that was like biggest turnout I've ever seen to like a horror film in my life. So it only made 45 million.
Jeez.
Oh, I thought it made like under. I knew it was under. I thought it made more than that. What did
What
did
about
it?
Halloween?
What did the first?
Oh, it did. Wait, it was close, I believe.
It got close. I think it made like
The
over
original
800.
it or the
Well, the 17.
Like the
2017.
theatrical one,
704.
704. So
close.
like that got
Okay.
close.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good news for horror. Yeah. So yeah.
But it's rare, man. It's hard for horror films to make that much money.
yeah.
All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. Happy 4th to all of our American viewers watching this. I know we've got our family is either already here or they're on their way over. We're going to have a big barbecue today, watch the fireworks from the backyard. I hope you guys have a wonderful time as well. So for the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Eat well, stay safe.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys later.
Paris Rose,
Bye.
my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.